Good afternoon here in the Netherlands, and welcome back to the online open day of the Han University of Applied Sciences. This session that we're hosting right now is the third and final session of the day. My name is Tommaso, and I will be your host for today. We have already seen a little bit of what it's like to study at the Han by a session called Life and Studies at the Han. Then we also took a look at the more practical side of studying at the Han by means of showing what the application process looks like and also some details about the housing and the housing procedure. In this session, we will be talking about visas and scholarships, and I'm joined in this session with Koen and Marcus. First of all, welcome you guys and thank you for being here. How's it going? All good?
Yeah.
All good. Yeah.
Great. Since we want to get to know you a little bit, would you mind introducing yourself? Koen, maybe we can start with you.
Yeah, my name is Koen Kuster. I work at the International Office and I'm a Policy Advisor Internationalization. And I will explain a bit more about visa and scholarships today.
Great, thank you and welcome. Marcus, how about yourself?
I'm Marcus. I'm a third-year student at the Han, and I'm studying IB, and I'm Indonesian.
And IB stands for International
Business, yes.
Perfect, that's great. Welcome, thank you very much for being here as well. As always, I am talking to the people at home watching this live. First of all, thank you for tuning in. And we would also like to remind you that you're welcome to ask any questions away within the chat function of the live stream. So don't shy away, ask those questions, and we will be addressing the questions within the live chat. And also we will be posting some of the questions over here, and we will be addressing those at the end of each and every segment. All right, so to get a bit of an understanding and a gist of what the visa procedure looks like, we have prepared a video for you, and we would like to take a look together to get an understanding of what you can expect.
Are you coming to study at Han? And are you from outside the EU? As the Dutch say, a good start is half the work. In 84 seconds, we'll tell you how to get off to a good start in the Netherlands. First, you receive an email from the admissions office. It tells you which documents you need to send us for your residence permit and entry visa. It also includes the invoice for the financial guarantee. The financial guarantee has different parts. This is what you pay for the first year of study. You pay the financial guarantee before the 15th of June if you start in September, or before the 15th of November if you start in February. And you gather the necessary documents. Email them to the admissions office. Han Immigration takes over your application from here on. And if anything's missing, they'll let you know. Then everything is sent to the Immigration and Naturalization Service, IND. They assess the application. Sometimes that takes 2 months, so make sure you send the documents on time. You get a mail from Han Immigration telling you whether your application has been approved. You also receive an approval letter with your V number. Now you can make an appointment with the Dutch embassy or consulate in your home country to pick up your entry visa. You don't pick up your residence permit until you're in the Netherlands. Welcome to Han. Then it's time to book your trip. We look forward to seeing you soon in the Netherlands. Just one more thing. Before you depart, we send you some extra info about how you register at a Dutch municipality, how to open a Dutch bank account, and how to arrange a tuberculosis test depending on your country of origin. Also go to hanuniversity.com/visa for all the important info.
So we've just taken a look at what the visa procedure looks like. Marcus, does this look any familiar to you?
Yeah, well, during my experiences in making the visa and all the documents 2 years ago, it wasn't hard. It was quite straightforward, and Han was able to help me quite well as well, so it was okay.
Great, great. And Koen, can a student also apply for their own visas, or does that have to take place alongside the Han?
No, only the university can apply for a study visa. But it's a procedure we have, well, I would say perfected in the years. So it's almost 100% guarantee that you get a visa unless you have a criminal record.
And did you experience, Marcus, any challenges when it came to applying for the visa or undertaking this full procedure that was also shown on the video?
No, thankfully, the immigration department from Han, also from the embassy in Indonesia, was quite helpful. I only need to bring some documents, the acceptance letter from Han, the acceptance for the long-term visa, the MVV, and also my passport and some other small documents. But I just need to send them that and then wait for quite a while. I forgot how long, but and then that's it.
Yeah, I think we also saw from the video, like it can take up to a few months in some cases also to just get the full procedure arranged. So of course, make sure that you're well on time with all of those, more like bureaucratic manners. But of course, like it's also great to hear from your experience that you experienced that in a rather straightforward way and that you gained the support needed whenever there was the need for it. So Koen, does the visa cover all 4 years of one's studies, or do I have to reapply every single year?
Well, luckily it covers the complete duration of your studies. So for bachelor studies, at least 4 years, and if you take a bit longer, that's also not a problem. And afterwards, you can also get like an orientation year, which is 1 year extra visa to try to apply for a job. So, and if you find a job, you can stay in the Netherlands for the duration of the contract you get.
So do I gather that an orientation year is basically like an extension of your visa upon 1 year after your graduation, just to look around and browse through different job opportunities in case you're planning on staying longer in the country?
That's correct. So you can do it right after you graduate, but you can also wait. You can use it within 3 years after graduation.
All right, so you can also go back to your home country, stay there for some time, and then come back and start using the orientation year, basically.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. Are you planning on staying longer in the Netherlands?
Yes. Yeah. I'm currently doing my internship right now, and if all goes well and I graduate next year, then probably, yes, I'll stay longer, yeah.
And would part of your plan be to stay within the company? Where have you been conducting your internship, or are you planning on maybe looking for something different?
That I don't know yet.
Okay,
Depends,
yeah. You still have a little bit of time ahead, thankfully, which definitely helps. We've also learned through the video about the residence permit. Koen, would you be able to explain to us what a resident permit is and when that is needed?
Yeah, basically the residence permit is like a ID card. And with that card, you can travel within the Schengen countries, so within 26 countries while you're in the Netherlands. So when you pick up your MVV, your visa, it's an entry visa. You also have a temporarily residence permit, and once you're here, you will get the final one, the permanent residence permit. And normally the IND people will come to the campus and hand them out.
So, but say, for example, that I come and arrive to the Netherlands without the official resident permit as of yet. Am I still able to travel to other European destinations during that time?
Yes, for 3 months, if I'm correct. There's a special stamp in your passport, and if you show that to customs, you can travel.
Excellent. And hopefully within those 3 months, all of the practicalities about the residence permits are also sorted out so that you can just use the residence permit. Do you remember like how this looked for you when you received your residence permit? Is it in line with what was said also earlier?
Yeah, from my experience, it was just at campus, so it was very, very simple for me.
Yeah, basically you showed up to campus and
that's
received
it.
it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's great, reassuring to hear also from people. I mean, especially when you're coming from really far away, then I can imagine for the people watching, it can be quite comforting to know that a lot of things are arranged just within the campus itself as well, and you don't have to like really go around too much looking for things yourself in a much thorough way. How does it work when it comes to working in the Netherlands? Like, what kind of aspects does the visa cover, and am I allowed to work on a student visa?
You are not allowed to work on a study visa, but you can apply. You can try to find a job, and then the employer can apply for a work permit because you have a special status with the study visa. And that takes about 2 to 3 weeks until you get your work permit. And then you're allowed to work for about 16 hours a week.
Alrighty. And because I know that at the Han, in some programs, if not in most programs, it's mandatory also to do an internship, which we sometimes call a placement. So does the study visa cover those placements through the Han?
Yes, the placement is part of the study program, so you don't need a separate work permit for that, even if you're paid for it.
Yeah, because Marcus, are you actually working yourself besides your internship?
No, I'm just doing my internship right now.
And have you had any working experiences earlier, like maybe during the first few years of your studies?
No, not really. I just did the internship as my first working experience, let's say.
Okay, and how do you feel like it's going so far?
Well, it's going well. I'm still in the first weeks of the internship, so it's still introduction phase. I don't know what will go in the future, but yeah, it's okay. The internship advisor at Han was also helpful, but that's another topic. But yeah, it's good.
Yeah, we're very happy to hear that it's going well and smoothly for you. And of course, like
Thanks.
the first weeks are always introductory based in a way or the other. So that's great. And also like going back to some of the more practical aspects of working within the Netherlands or just like arranging your full-on visa procedures is also opening a Dutch bank account. How important would you say that having the Dutch bank account is for you, Marcus?
It's very important. In my home country, we use MasterCard, and sometimes it doesn't work in some supermarkets here or in some places. So also like Visa, because here most of the Dutch bank cards are from Maestro, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very good to have some money that you can access all the time rather than you need to go to an ATM, get some cash, and then spend it. But yeah, it's much easier, especially in the Netherlands. Everyone prefers to do contactless. So yeah.
I couldn't agree more with you. And I mean, I come from rather close by. I come from Italy myself, and even there, where you think, okay, within European Union, maybe the payment systems can look quite alike. Actually, not quite. I experienced the same challenges during the first few weeks in the Netherlands, paying in supermarkets, for instance, because indeed I also had a MasterCard card, and I realized that in many cases, not all cases, but in most of them, that was not accepted, unfortunately, so I needed to always withdraw some cash. And then I really realized how important it was also for me to open a Dutch bank account. And the thing is that sometimes it can sound a little frightening, just the thought of having to open a Dutch bank account, but I was quite surprised for myself how easy it was. So Koen, would you mind explaining to us like a little bit what the procedure looks like of opening a Dutch bank account?
Yeah, it depends a bit on which bank, but the colleagues from the international office have some procedures in place. They can help you out. Some banks you can do everything online, really fast. And we also have some banks really close to the campus. You can just go there, make an appointment, and you can arrange it within an hour sometimes.
There you go. Yeah, that's exactly how I experienced that myself as well. Within 1 hour, like the appointment was kind of finalized, and then within, I think, maximum 2 weeks, my Dutch bank account was already in my mailbox. So really simple indeed. How did you experience it yourself, Marcus?
It was quite straightforward as well. It's fairly simple, and thankfully the documents that for my bank, it was in English, so it's also easy for me to understand what are the terms and agreements and everything. So
yeah, that's a very good point indeed. Like there is a lot of signing that you have to do, so it's always best to have those documents in English. And should it be the case that maybe some of the documents are in Dutch, then we always recommend, especially maybe when you're not too familiar with the language yet, to bring along like a Dutch colleague or a Dutch friend of yours. Then some translation activity can take place just like simultaneously, and you don't have to have too much of a lead time when it comes to that. Now, alongside the Dutch bank account, we know that one other pretty important practicality is the Dutch health insurance. Koen, the floor is yours to explain to us a little like what that entails.
Well, you need to have a Dutch bank health insurance. If you have a financial guarantee, it's already covered for the first year. You need to prolong it yourself for years 2, 3, and 4. But also for other students, you need to be covered with a health insurance because it can be quite costly if something happens.
Right. And what if I have an international health insurance within my home country? Does that count as well?
It depends a bit. Normally, we advise to take the health insurance we offer here because it's not just a health insurance, it's also liability and a travel insurance. So it's combined and it's rather cheap. In some special cases, it could be that the people from the international office say it's okay, you can use the one you have. But normally, if it's from outside the EU, then it's quite risky.
Yeah, but it's good that you're saying like always double check with the international office whether your health insurance works or not. In some cases, like you said, you might be lucky. In other cases, well, the people at the international office knows best what's really working here and what isn't. And so I think it's quite clear, quite straightforward.
Yeah.
And I think that on the topic of health insurance, we are going to close off the first part of the segment that we're having on visas and the practicalities around those. And we're moving forward to the second section, which is concerning scholarships. But just to briefly recap what we have just talked about, we talked about, first of all, like what the whole application procedure looks like when it comes to the visa, what kind of support you can expect from the HAN, and what kind of activities and initiatives are starting from yourself. And then we also took a look at some other important aspects and matters that come along, which are, for example, a Dutch bank account and a Dutch health insurance program. Now, with this being said, I would like to take just a moment to remind you that you're welcome to ask away any questions in the live chat function that we're having below or within this live stream, and we will be addressing some of those questions right after this segment. Right, now we are going to be moving into the second part of the segment, which concerns scholarships, as was mentioned earlier, and we have prepared a video for you to take a look at what that may look like for you.
Are you thinking of studying at HAN? Great! And are you interested in scholarships? We offer several scholarships for students from outside the EU. In just a few seconds, we'll tell you what you need to do to qualify. First, make sure you've been accepted into your chosen degree program at HAN well before the scholarship selection starts. The admissions office makes a selection from the accepted students. Do you meet all the scholarship requirements? Then you'll be invited to join the scholarship selection process. You'll receive an email telling you what we need to complete your application. Submit your portfolio to enter the scholarship section. Do this well before the deadline of May 1st if you start in September, or October 19th if you start in February. An automatic email will inform you whether your portfolio has been received in good order. Next, the scholarship committee reviews your portfolio. Before May 20th if you start in September, or November 3rd if you start in February, we notify you of the outcome. Accepted? Congratulations! You have 1 week to accept your scholarship. On the waiting list, you'll hear as soon as possible if a scholarship becomes available for you. Missed the boat? Then, of course, you can still come and study with us. You may still have a chance to win an honor scholarship in our second year. At the end of the first year, the academic board selects a number of outstanding students who are eligible for this scholarship. Time's up! Good luck with your preparations. Just one last thing. The scholarships are paid out once a year or semester. Depending on your intake, this will happen in October or March. You can find an overview of the available scholarships on our website. HAN scholarships cannot be combined and never cover your entire study fees. Also go to hanuniversity.com for all the important info.
So Koen, how does a student apply for a scholarship?
Well, as we've seen in the video, everybody who has like a level of English of IELTS 6.5 or equivalent will receive an email from our admission office, normally at the end of March. And it states that you can apply for a scholarship. There's a link, and if you open the link, you can see the steps you have to take. What you need to do is show us your grade list once more. You need to upload a video about yourself, and you have 1 month to do that. So before the 1st of May, we should have it. And then it takes about 2 to 3 weeks to get the result from the exam board.
Yes, and let's take a look because I believe that we might have a slide also mentioning some of the requirements and some of the, yeah, there it is. So here we have, for example, the deadlines and also the amounts that you can expect when it comes to receiving scholarships. So when I receive a scholarship, can I expect that scholarship to be paid for, does it cover all of my 4 years of studies in case of a bachelor's or the 2 years in case of a master's, or how does that work?
Yeah, you get it every year, but it doesn't cover, for example, the complete cost for a year of study. So, but you will get 5,000 euros if you're a bachelor student for year 1 and 2,500 for years 2, 3, and 4 if you obtain 75% of the credits every year.
Okay, right. So it's really important also for the people watching to remember that, or to keep in mind that in order to keep the scholarship, you have indeed to fulfill a certain threshold of indeed keeping the 75% of the credits per year, which, is around, like, if I'm not mistaken, 45 credits out of 60.
Correct.
Am I correct? Okay, perfect. So what kind of scholarship did you receive, Marcus?
I received the Han Holland scholarship, so the first one that was mentioned, and the well, it was great that I could receive it, but the procedure was also challenging.
Do you remember what you needed to do?
Yes, I think I have to make a video about myself telling why I'm a good candidate, how well I'm able to work with other people, and also my future plans and so on. And then also attach my CV and, as Koen said, the motivation letter.
And how did you try to make sure that your application would stand out amongst several other applications?
Well, yeah, as I've heard, some students, they try to make their videos as creative as possible. Let's say they add visuals and everything. But for me, at least personally, I took a different approach. I focus more on the topic that I'm talking about, making sure I try to make sure I tell, I make the video as if it's a story, it's one flow rather than this subtopic and this subtopic, which I don't know. Apparently it works, right?
Of course, and I think you mentioned a really good point that you can take 2 different approaches. You can combine those different approaches together. For example, you said you can either go the full-on creative route and try out different things with your video editing skills, for example, but then you can also very well focus on the content, on what you're saying, and why you believe that you are the best and perfect candidate for the scholarship you're about to receive. And I know that, Koen, you've seen a lot of these different videos submitted for scholarships. What do you usually see? What kind of video submissions?
It differs very much, but what people should also keep in mind is that the selection committee will see maybe 50 or 80 videos in a very short time, so you have to stand out. I've seen cases that a student was telling something about him or herself, but also asked a teacher, friends to talk something about the student, to show something about things they did for the community. We even saw somebody guiding us with a camera around the city, where they were living, while telling something about themselves. So it could be very, you see all kind of videos, but you need to stand out.
Yeah, and it's nice that you mentioned like some little like tips also to stand out in a creative way. Yes, you can take your phone alongside and film different things. You can conduct little interviews of people to also showcase the different perspectives that people may receive about you. So that's, those are all, I believe, great tips and tricks. Is there anything you would like to add on this, Marcus? Like any other tip and trick you would like to share with the students that might be in the same position as you were in a few years ago?
I agree with Koen that we have to be creative and so on, but also to check and recheck. So make sure all of the CV, the motivation letter are all written well the video is made, well, you didn't forget any minor things, because sometimes you would focus on the big things, on the major aspects, but then you forgot about some other things that might be important, who knows. And just, yeah, and also ask for feedback from other people, because what you think is good, maybe some other people would have, let's say, a recommendation. Maybe you can change one or two things, and they'll increase your chances of getting a scholarship. Yeah.
100%. I couldn't agree more. Like really having this sort of a second look on the piece you produce, both the videos as well as the motivational letter and your CV as well. I mean, like everything that you're submitting really counts. Is really, really worth. So it's really good to have a bit of a second eye look into whatever kind of documents you're submitting. And I think that this also applies when you're applying in general for the HAN, for instance. I mean, there's a number of documents that you have to submit regardless within your application. So I think you're making a very clear and strong point there, saying that receiving feedback is it's quite important, really.
Mm-hmm.
So from the video that we saw earlier, we see that there are two different types of scholarship, the HAN Honor Scholarship and the HAN Holland Scholarship. Is it possible to combine the two scholarships together?
No, that's not possible. So either you get the HAN Holland Scholarship right away, or if you don't get it, you have a second chance. So after year one, depending on your grades, you could get the Honor Scholarship, but it's not possible to combine them.
Okay, yeah, that's also, I guess, a great incentive to keep grades high throughout your studies, to potentially aim for the honor scholarship. And then also, of course, there are other scholarships opportunities also later on within one's studies. For example, if you decide to go abroad at a certain point within your studies, you can go within the European Union, but you can also go outside of the European Union. And then you have another set of scholarships that are available. For example, within my experience when I did my study abroad in Chile, in South America, I applied for a scholarship that was also called the HAN Holland Scholarship. And I believe I was eligible because I didn't receive it earlier, being a European Union student. But then the application procedure is quite similar. I remember I didn't quite have to make a video, but then I still had to submit a motivational letter as well as a CV. Then that was evaluated, and then you can also get a smaller grant, which of course is only meant to cover the some of the expenses for the one semester that you're spending abroad. But that was also, I mean, a great opportunity to receive a little bit of a financial funding during the experiences abroad. So there are just this to say that there are a plethora of different routes to go towards, and a lot of different alternatives that you can possibly benefit from. So one last question on the topic of scholarships, and that concerns the steps to take once you are awarded the scholarship. Do you know, Koen, how to answer this?
Yeah, once you receive the email that you basically won the scholarship, you also need to inform the international office that you want to accept the scholarship, because sometimes people apply for several universities and several scholarships. Mm-hmm. So you have 1 week to reply. And if you do not accept the scholarship, it will go to somebody on the waiting list. And we pay out the scholarship normally in October and March, if I'm correct.
Yeah. And so how did you experience that yourself, Marcus, when you received the scholarship? Do you remember a little like what that was like for you?
Well, I was happy. Yeah, I got a scholarship, of course. But other than that, the acceptance thing was also explained in the acceptance letter for the scholarship. So, yeah, as Koen said, I just need to reply to the email saying that, I accept this, blah, blah, blah. And then after that, we'll get, I think, another email saying the stuff that we need to put in, or some stuff that we need to sign. But exactly. I think that's all, yeah.
Okay, and was it necessary to have a Dutch bank account to ensure the transaction of the scholarship?
Yeah, the scholarship is paid into a Dutch bank account, so you do need it. So what you said with the confirmation and accepting the scholarship, you also need to give the bank account number to double check.
So are you also able to do such a thing when you're already in the Netherlands?
I'm not sure if I understand the question correctly.
So basically, when it comes to, because you said that the transaction happens within a Dutch bank account,
Yeah.
so can you wait until the moment that you are already located in the Netherlands? Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry for the
No, I
question.
get it. Yeah, because the first payment will be in October, so you will already have started your program.
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
So by October, you should
Yeah,
also
yeah.
have your
Yeah.
Dutch bank account sorted out. So I believe that this wraps up really beautifully also the session that we've just had on scholarships, and we're still awaiting if there are any questions that the audience might be willing to have addressed. And I see that there is one incoming as well. Someone is wondering, how long does the visa process take? Who wants to take this?
I think I can answer that one.
Yeah.
It depends a bit. Once you pay the financial guarantee amount, my colleagues from the immigration team will start with the application. And normally, it doesn't take longer than 2 to 3 weeks until you get a positive reaction from the IND.
Mm-hmm.
And then it depends on the embassy or consulate in your country when you can make the appointment to pick it up.
Yes, right.
So sometimes that could be within a week, but sometimes it takes a month. It depends.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you remember how much lead time it was for you?
Well, thankfully, it wasn't a month.
Okay, good.
So that's one. But yeah, it's around 2 to 3 weeks. So it wasn't a long wait. Yeah.
Correct. And so while we wait for any potential other questions, do you have, Koen, any other information that you feel like it's worth sharing around the topics of visas and scholarships?
Well, maybe it's important because you mentioned it briefly. Part of the program is that you can go for a study abroad.
Yeah.
And if you do that, we have like scholarships, like you mentioned, the Holland scholarship. We also have that for outgoing students, and we have the Erasmus scholarship. So in many cases, you will get some financial compensation.
Yes, indeed. And I'm also familiar with the second scholarship that you mentioned, the Erasmus scholarship, which only applies to countries located within the European continent, not necessarily the European Union, I believe. And that is also like another great opportunity to finance part of either your internship or your studies abroad. So that's there's a lot of different solutions, because of course, like spending a part of your time of your studies within another country, being already maybe an international student, it can require some financial also possibilities, and it's good to hear that there are alternatives out there that can support some of those travel expenses, for example. So another student is, or someone else is wondering, when can you pay your financial guarantee?
Well, basically, as soon as you get the invoice from our admission office, you can pay. It doesn't mean that we will start the visa application right away, because if you would pay in March, that would be too big a time difference with the start of the program. Normally they start, I think, around May with the visa application. But you could pay from the moment you receive the invoice.
Excellent. So right away, as soon as you're ready, let's say. But of course, the earlier, then would that also give you some lead time compared to like other students if you pay the financial guarantee earlier?
The only thing which would be beneficial and quite important, I think, is that you have a better choice with the housing, because you will get a voucher for your room earlier.
There you go.
So,
So that's a good thing to keep in mind, of course, when it comes to housing as well. Do you remember what that looked like for you when it came to looking for housing?
For my first year, it was, I got a voucher from Han for the SSH housing agency. And thankfully, I was quicker than others to get the voucher, so I was able to get a decent room, let's say.
Excellent, that's good to hear. And we also covered some of this information regarding housing and what the procedure looks like in some of the earlier sessions, which you're going to be able to watch back on YouTube as well. So just in case the people watching are wondering what that may look like. As I see that there are no more incoming questions, I would suggest that we wrap up this session. And I wanted to thank you guys again so much for joining me and for helping me explain the practicalities of the visa procedures as well as the scholarship procedures. I hope you had a great time. Yeah. And thanks again for being with me. And thank you again for watching these segments of the Open Day today. We hope to see you around. And thanks again. We wish you a fine day ahead.